Are you ready for some high school football?
Welcome to Plainsmen Football with Steve and Steve.
And it starts right now.
And now it's time for football in Plainsmen Football with Steve and Steve.
Somebody fire me up!
Welcome again to Plainsmen Football 2016 with Steve and Steve. Thank you for joining us once again. Another quick week. Coach, congratulations on the big win. The big win over Deer Creek, 45-17. The Plainsmen are now 3-3 on the year with 2 wins back-to-back, and also an impressive 2-1 in district, and that's where it really counts, district play. Mm-hmm. Coach, just really right off the bat, what were the keys for this 45-17 win?
Well, I think for last Friday night, it was the turnover ratio. Our defense did a good job of taking the ball away. We had a fumble recovery for a touchdown, 3 interceptions. We had 1 turnover, which led to 7 points for Deer Creek. And so winning the turnover battle, especially early in that first quarter, kind of made the game over before it ever started and allowed us to get to a 28-7 lead.
And you also had a kickoff return that set up a score, I believe.
Yeah,
wasn't it 75 or 80 yards or something?
It was, all the way down to their 19,
yeah.
Which was nice because they had scored very quickly on their first drive. And to answer that way, I think was big. It was big for our kids' confidence. And then after that, our defense really played well for the remainder of the night, I thought.
You know, Coach, sometimes I'm asked just in the general public about football and high school football and things like this. One of the questions that came to me was about, do you know or do you sense any type of special vibe or energy before the game? Say, you know, everything seems to be lined up right this week during practice, and I know we're really going to perform well. Or is it still a guessing game till the ball's kicked off?
I think some years that's true. I don't know that this year that's been true. I think that's a good question, and I think sometimes like, man, we're really prepared.
Yeah.
We really should play well tonight, and I kind of felt that way going into the Bishop McGinnis game, and that definitely didn't pan out that well.
I think a lot of people felt that way.
I think sometimes, just like in the rest of life, your emotions can be a little unreliable.
So what was Saturday morning like? You've got a big win, 45-17, and I believe you do some lifting on Saturday.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I don't know what else is involved on that particular Saturday practice or get-together, if you will.
Yeah.
But what was the overall, say, attitude or the atmosphere with everyone after a big win?
You know, when we have breakfast, we eat breakfast before we watch video, and we go over with the kids our special teams of the night before and also the district standings and the upcoming games. And I think, you know, when the coaches and kids see where we stand in the district and our opportunity and potential at this point in time, the kind of the position we put ourselves in, there's a lot of excitement and a lot of enthusiasm, rightly so, about what we can do as a team starting this week with Lawton. I think this is really a big game for us, and I think our kids see the potential in a victory this week and really see, given their score against Stillwater, how we can win this football game if we do a good job.
Let's talk a little bit more about Deer Creek. Again, the big win at Selby Stadium last Friday night, 45-17. That moves the Plainsmen to 2-1 in district play. Coach, I was just simply going to ask, are you where you want to be at this time here at 6 games? It's been a blur. I can imagine for you as much time and energy that of all the student athletes and coaches put into each day and each week.
Yeah.
Here you've got 6 games already in the book. It's incredible how fast that goes. Are you where you envision you would be 6 games in?
Well, you know, the way a football season works, your most important games are your last 4. And so, you know,
you have time to get your act together.
Yeah, they do. But, I mean, there's increasing pressure each week because the significance of the game is greater. This is the biggest game we've played all year. In the next 3 weeks, we'll be able to say that every week, I think.
Sure.
Given that our goal is we want to not make the playoffs, but play a home playoff game. We want to finish in the first 2 standings of our district so that we can play our first game at home and allow our community to have that opportunity and reward for supporting the program. And so as far as level of play, I still think we have a lot of improvement. I think there's a lot of things that we can do better. But I'm excited because we are improving. Every week our kids come back and they're playing better than they did the week before. They're correcting their mistakes. And so our potential as a team still hasn't been reached, but we're improving and moving in that direction. So that's very exciting to me.
Thank you for joining us on Plainsmen Football 2016 with Coach Steve Hayes. I'm Steve Kyman. We really enjoy each week the opportunity to kind of recap the Friday night game. Speaking of recap, let's go back to that first drive, if you will, Coach Hayes. The expectation, again, you said something earlier about, well, we let people score first, and so we can come back. And I know you were just saying that in a jokingly sense. But with Deer Creek just going down and just score right off the bat, was that a wake-up call, or are you just trying to make these adjustments, or what's going on in the coach's mind during that series saying, whoa, they just went down and scored?
Yeah, I think offensively you have an advantage the first two drives of the game because it's so hard for a scout team to replicate the speed of an offense and the precision of an offense, especially late in the year. And so I think our defense, they were adjusting their angles and adjusting to the speed that Deer Creek does things, which we can't simulate because, the only offense you're going to run well, hopefully, is yours. It's hard to run somebody else's offense well. And so, I think that first drive was really an indication of, number one, how good Deer Creek is offensively. They were very precise on that drive, and quarterback threw the ball really well, and it was very impressive to me. Matter of fact, I was very concerned after that first drive, but our kids and our coaches did a good job of making the necessary adjustments, and sometimes it's just adjusting an angle, the angle that you take towards a receiver or a break on a ball, and they did a great job of that, as demonstrated by the 4 turnovers that we proceeded to produce the remainder of the game. So, real impressed.
Well, Coach, let's move into the segment of highlights, and I want to say special thanks to Coach Hayes and his staff for providing the highlights for us this year. It was something we kind of worked on last year, just technically never did make it happen, but with their cooperation and their work behind the scenes, they were able to provide the highlights for us, which we show at this time. You mentioned 3 interceptions, fumble recovery for a score, a 75, 80-yard kickoff return that set up a score. Those are some key highlights. Any other highlights that we're getting ready to see?
You're going to see Lincoln Sefcik's long touchdown. You're going to see it's a reception from about the 30-yard line. Colton Troxel had a short catch and then about a 50-yard run on a reception for a touchdown that really kind of put the game away, put us up 35-17 at that point. You're going to see a good run by Will Phillips on the right edge for about 25 yards. And defensively, you're going to see Augie Pritchett's scoop and score. Defensive tackle scooped the ball, ran it in from about 20 yards and scored, which, is just the ultimate dream for a kid like that. I'm sure he probably didn't get any sleep this weekend after doing that. And a great interception by Will Phillips, a great interception by Ivy Mace, and then a sack by Josh Faulkner, who was on the show a few weeks ago, and Augie Pritchett as well. And so it was hard to choose. There was a lot of really good plays on both sides of the ball.
Nice problem to have.
Yeah, we really probably could have 25 big plays up on the reel this week because of all the plays that were made.
Well, Coach Hayes has set the stage for the highlights, and let's look at those right now as Enid Plainsmen defeated Deer Creek by a score of 45-17. Here's the highlights. Welcome back to Plainsmen Football 2016 with Steve and Steve. Hope you enjoyed those highlights. I certainly, Coach, on those highlights, it's a lot more fun when you're on the winning side of highlights versus the other side.
Yes.
Well, this is one of my favorite times that we get to introduce a student athlete to you. Oftentimes, you'll see them running up down the field or on the sidelines with the helmet on, and you just really don't get that window of opportunity. But let me introduce to you Kros Bay. Kros, welcome to the Enid Television Studios.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you being here, and we just appreciate the opportunity to get to know you better. And you're on the defensive side.
Yes, sir. I play Sam backer. I play running back on the offense and fullback too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Why don't you let everybody know what your number is, too, so they can look for you Friday.
My number is 25.
Well, Kros, thanks a lot for being on here today. And Kros is a big part of our team. He's been our Defensive Player of the Week a couple weeks this year based on his grade in the game, and his performance has done a great job for us. Kros, I would say one of our biggest improvements from this year to last year to this year is the play of our defense. Definitely much better on that side of the ball. How do you feel like you individually since last season have improved, and what have you done to make yourself a better football player?
I think one thing that I've done individually is probably gain some more weight
Yeah.
and actually try to take down people instead of bouncing off people like we all were last year.
You're not
And
the only one that's
I would
gained
agree.
weight, okay? don't make that in a negative sense. I'm sorry to interrupt.
yeah. And
How much weight have you gained?
I'd probably say about 20 pounds.
20 pounds.
Yeah, I weighed about 180 last year, and I weigh about 203 this year.
That's good. Man, that's good. It makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Oh, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I agree. How do you think we've improved defensively in the last year?
Well, I think defensively we've improved the most of stopping the run game. Our run defense is very good. It's very good, and
That's okay. Go on.
I think also we've improved as we all trust each other now. Instead of people say we turn it into the defense, and other people aren't just overrunning it. So
Yeah, I think we're much sounder in our gaps, and I agree. Run game wise, we're a lot better this year. It seemed like people kind of ran the football at will last year at times, and that has not been the case, which has been exciting.
no.
What ways do you think we still need to improve as a defense over the next 4 weeks preparing for potential playoff berth?
I think in a way that we need to get better at is probably a little bit of our pass game. Defense is like our linebacker drops and reading our guards, and I think our D-line is playing really, really good right now, and I think if we keep playing like that, we'll be good there. And just as long as our back seven plays well, I think there's nobody that can beat us.
Yeah, and by back seven, you mean linebackers and secondary for those out there listening. It means the guys that are not defensive linemen. All right, Kros, you're a pretty good student. You're taking concurrent hours at the college right now, and obviously have academic goals that are pretty lofty. What are some of your strengths in school and favorite things about school?
Probably my favorite subjects in school is probably my comp class. I love to write. Writing is very fun to me.
Really? I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, Kros. That's pretty cool. Now, you're a good baseball player. We know that you've committed to play baseball. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about that part of your athletic career?
I'm going to play baseball at the University of Arkansas Little Rock, and they're in the Sun Belt Conference, and that's what I plan to do after I graduate high school is to go on and play at baseball there.
Do you have any idea what you think you want to study yet, or you still thinking about it?
I kind of want to study criminal justice, but I don't know yet.
All right, Officer Bay. I like the sound of it. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Well, Kros, let me ask you a final question in our segment. When graduation takes place and sports is behind you, what will you take away from this team experience from baseball, football, and everything you're involved in? But that team experience, what does it mean to you?
It means a lot to me. I think having, out there you can feel very, very lonely at times if people are just running at you. You really need a brother on the side of you and on the other side of you. So I think this high school football is probably the most important thing you could probably play because you just learn so much from it.
Sure. And I think sometimes in life when we feel like we get run over, we need somebody on the team to come by and pick us up and say, hang in there, and vice versa. Your role as well, when somebody else gets run over, you need to be that exhorter, that encourager as well. Well, Kros, we appreciate you being here. Congratulations on the success so far this year, and we certainly wish you well in your academic endeavors as you go on to Arkansas to play baseball and other things. But congratulations.
Thank you.
And You're not off the hook. We still looking for more wins. Is that right, Coach?
Yeah.
We've not reached our goals yet, have we?
No, not yet.
Our special student-athlete guest today, Kros Bay, number 25, and serves as linebacker on the defensive side of things and also as a backup running back. And also you said he was deep snapper. Is that right?
He can deep
fills
snap.
in.
Yeah, he can deep snap. He's a pretty good blocker.
That's the only thing we have in common because that's what I would do on punts. I was a deep snapper. So, but that was 100 years ago, Kros. That was a long, long time ago. Kros Bay, our student athlete for this week. Thank you for joining us on Plainsmen Football 2016. We're going to take time now to meet more Enid Plainsmen. As we take this break, we'll meet more of the athletes, and then we'll come back with our assistant coach of the week. So stay with us.
Ryan Stotts, junior, wide receiver. Carter Griffin, junior, linebacker.
I'm Chase Masterson. I'm a junior and I play middle linebacker.
My name's Chaz Ospina. I'm a senior and I play D-tackle.
Draven Atkins, a junior, and I play defensive end.
Welcome back to Plainsmen Football 2016 with Steve and Steve. I hope you enjoy the opportunity that we get to introduce assistant coaches during the break and also some of the Enid Plainsmen players as well. Our special guest, Kyle Young. Kyle, welcome to Enid Television Network and to Plainsmen Football. And you're an Enid grad, so this is nothing new to you. You're just a proud Enid High School grad. Yeah. Graduated in what year was
93.
this? 93. Okay. It's gone quick, huh?
Yeah.
Can you believe this is 2016? The years, they used to be 12 months long, I think, Coach Hayes. Now they're closer to 9, 8 months long. Yeah. And then when you throw kids into the equation, they go 6, 7 months. Coach Young, you coach on the defensive side with safeties. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So how are things going from your perspective?
Oh, pretty well. We are still, we're still progressing. We're not where we want to be, but we are, better than we were. We improve every week. We really do. I've been really pleased with, Will Phillips makes a lot of plays for us, but Dalton Dyson and Marlo Hughes have done a tremendous job. Marlo struggled first couple weeks, and he's really progressed. And but we still give up, a couple of big plays during the game, so we're really to where if we can eliminate, we do a grading system for the defensive players, and one of them is critical errors, and they get a -5 for every critical errors. And if we can just eliminate our critical errors in the secondary, we're going to do pretty well.
Coach Hayes, there was 3 interceptions last week.
Yep.
Now you'll have to refresh my memory. How was the safeties involved in this? Because this is in reflection of Coach Young's and his work. Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think one of the big improvements this year is our turnover ratio. We've offensively turned the ball over 5 times. 2 of those was our first game against Guthrie. So since Guthrie, we've only had 3 turnovers, and our defense has forced 15. And so when you get that type of ratio, you tend to have more success, and a lot of it has to do with the way the safeties are playing. Dalton Dyson was the one that had the 2 interceptions the week before to seal the win against Choctaw, and so
he closed out the first half and second half of the game.
That's right. So you have coached at different levels. Talk a little bit about where you were last year and kind of the difference from being there to where you are now, because there's a different classification.
Most of my coaching has been a Class A, 3A down, and so I'm used to little Ironman football, boys playing both sides of the ball, and so and that's kind of helped this year. We're with Will being so significant offensively and defensively. We've got to find guys, find situations where we can rest him on defensive side of the ball as well as offense. But he's a guy that we got to have on the field. I always write on his evaluations. It doesn't matter offensive or defensively. You make a big play, it fires up the team, and so. So getting him some rest and not having a dip in production is key. And like I said, I have 3 guys for 2 spots, and they do really well. We're really coming along. I got to brag on my safeties because not just with the three of them, I think we were tallying it up. I can't remember. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think we're about 10 interceptions, just those three safeties combined for the season. Yeah. So my job is to make sure that they are lined up correctly and they know the responsibility. They do a great job going out and just executing and being playmakers.
Coach, let me ask you this. Without playing the comparison game, but you just mentioned overall 10 interceptions. Do you do the comparison with other Class 6A teams to see where the defense is at? Say a Choctaw has 7 or other schools. Is there any awareness of other defenses, what they're doing?
The accuracy of comparison is only against common opponents because you're playing the same type of scheme and same kids. And so I think you do compare that a little bit, but more than anything else, it's just evaluating what they did versus what they should do. Excuse me. Dalton Dyson's probably one of our most improved football players from a year ago, and has a lot to do with Kyle's work with him and what a great job he's done.
My thought as an opposing coach that I realize that your secondary has 10 interceptions, I'm thinking as the opposing coach, okay, they've got something going there. We have to really take a look at that. So.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of it is it's a group effort. When we start taking teams out, what they want to do. Offense is putting up big points. Now puts them in passing situations, and we've been opportunistic. This last week, Deer Creek wants to throw the ball, so I thought we did a great job of linebackers. Ivy had 2 picks, so it was, and really could have had a couple more. So not to downgrade it, but Dyson's couple of interceptions at the end of the half, they're in a situation where they got to throw, but we're executing. We're responding to the situation.
I agree. You know, Kyle's a great example of how there's great coaching that occurs at every level of high school football here in Oklahoma. You know, he has fit in so well, moving from a smaller classification to our staff, and is as strong as anybody we have on our staff. I'm real proud of the job that he's doing and the way he coaches kids. Takes a real intellectual approach to the game. And so talk a little bit about your history with Enid High School as a player and maybe some of the guys you played with and how it feels to be back.
Well, I was blessed to be part of some groups that were really good. My sophomore 90-91 seasons were semifinal teams, lost to the eventual state champion, lost to the eventual national champion in Lawton Ike my sophomore year. You know, I was a slight guy. I wasn't real big, so didn't have a lot of opportunities to get out there. But I played with Coach Sears. He was a pup my senior year, and he really came around, obviously. But you know, it's kind of sad being away from the program and seeing how it dipped a little bit for whatever reason. It was just kind of amazing, and so coming back, trying to instill some of that tradition back in there. And you know, the years I was in school, you know, making the playoffs was a given. It was winning the district, making a long push into the playoffs. So just it's exciting to see the kids excited about the prospect. And now I think it's interesting. Instead of trying to gear them up to make the playoffs, it's okay. Look, we need to focus one game at a time. Nothing's sewn up yet. Let's just focus on our opponent this week and go execute.
Absolutely. So what do you see from a defensive standpoint, having studied you this week, keys of the game against Lawton?
They want to run the ball, and I think if we can play. You know, Choctaw showed us that if we play the guard tackle pull the way we can, we're going to be fine. When we don't play things, we don't play our position, do our job, and I don't know how many times we say that during the school year.
Sure.
Or, you know, do your job, and when we do our job, we do fine. When we start doing our own thing, things go a little haywire. So Lawton wants to run the football. They're not being tricky about it. They're not making any bones about it. They want to run the football. So it's a challenge for us. You know, I've been a defensive coordinator, and Coach Rubley, as a defensive coordinator, you want to stop the run. That doesn't matter. Like Deer Creek, we wanted to stop the run, even though they want to throw the ball. We want to make sure they're one-dimensional. And when they're one-dimensional, you know, you can have a better job predicting what they're going to do.
Very good. Well, Coach Young, thanks for spending time with us today. We appreciate you being with us on Plainsmen Football.
Thanks for having me.
And it's exciting, Coach, as you pointed out, an alumnus, if you will, alumni to come back and then participate and help young people. So, Coach Young, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, we'll come back and talk a little bit about the character quality focus for the week, and we want to take this opportunity to introduce you to some other assistant coaches, and we'll look at that right now.
Coach Sean Smith, offensive line.
Coach Kareem Sears, defensive line, defensive ends coach, University of Nebraska.
Welcome back to Plainsmen Football with Steve and Steve. We appreciate you joining us each and every week. I just want to say special thanks to Dane Tate, who does some work behind the scenes, and also Christopher Sneed as they work behind the scenes to technically provide this. And you know all about people working behind the scenes. Yeah. So we appreciate the group we have here. Again, we'd like to remind you, if you have a question for Coach Steve Hayes, you can send an email to AskSteve, AskSteve. That's the tough part, spelling that, Coach.
Yeah.
AskSteve@Enid.org. That's AskSteve@Enid.org. And send us a question, and we'll make sure that Coach Hayes gets that. Last week, character focus was on honor, and I was so impressed with that term that we just don't hear very often, honor anymore. Yeah. And you said something about this week's, the emphasis is on ownership and also on maturity. Tell us a little bit about that.
Just, we just want to work with our kids, and I think it's a real a good concept for high school kids anyway. Just the idea of what does maturity look like? What does a mature person versus an immature person look like, and how do they treat the relationships and things, opportunities they have in their life when they're mature versus immature? And so, not common, but I think it's important. Looking forward to walking through that with the kids.
Sure, life skills is always important. Well, Coach, let me ask you this: how do you incorporate that in these two terms in practice this week, or just during the week? How do you? It's one thing to talk about it, but how do you incorporate it?
Well, I think a specific example for us, it's one thing to have a team rule. It's another thing to understand why you have it, why it's important, and to be part of the process to help it get followed. And that becomes leadership in a lot of extent.
Okay.
And so, I think, it's important to be on time. A mature kid knows why it's important to be on time and knows that there's people depending on them.
Right.
And I think we want to take it beyond to just being enforcing a rule to a kid understanding why it's so important to follow them.
Well, Coach, as you know, Friday gets here really quick, and so we've got the Lawton Wolverines. You're going to be on the road as you travel down to Lawton. And if you look at district play, you had Choctaw upset Midwest City last week. You're scratching your head on that one. Mm-hmm. And then you see that Putnam City West, they're 3-0. That kind of makes sense,
It does.
And then you see where Lawton beat Stillwater last week, and so this district play is pretty exciting. What are you going to face besides Lawton wanting to run the ball? What are the keys to success and a win against Lawton?
Well, Lawton is going to be a fast team. They're not overbearing as far as their size. They're not particularly big, especially compared to some Lawton teams in the past. But they're still exceptionally quick and exceptionally fast and well coached. And so we're going to have to continue to not turn the ball over, not be 3-and-out on offense, get our defense off the field. And this week we're going to have to do a good job stopping the run. And so I like our chances. I think that we match up well. It'll be great to go down there and have an opportunity to win and really make a statement this week by beating a great program.
Well, it's exciting time. Exciting time for
It
everybody.
is.
Well, Coach, thanks for being here today. Appreciate your time. I know you've got a lot going on.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And we appreciate you being with us here on Plainsman Football 2016. And the Plainsmen, 3-3 overall, 2-1 in district play, head down southwest, I guess you should say, to Lawton as they take on the Wolverines this Friday night. And we'll be back next week with the recap of that game. And so until next time, again, thank you for joining us next time. And so make it a great day.
Thank you for watching Enid Plainsman Football with Steve and Steve on ETN.